Hello and welcome to another Faith, Philosophy and Life. Me, Mr. Shelton. A little bit different today because we're going to be thinking about war. We're going to spend a couple of lessons or a few lessons on this particular topic. I'm going to pose a few different situations and you're needing to make a decision on what you think should happen. Now, normally we'd do a big group discussion about this in the classroom, but if you're watching this, it means that you'll be at home, so that won't be possible. However, what you can do is you can share information with those around you that are actually also at home through the mediums of WhatsApp or Messenger or Facebook or whatever you currently have access to. So this is the statement. You've got to decide whether country Z, you're the leader of country Z, you're going to decide whether country Z should declare war or not. So this is the first scenario. Country X has been invaded. You have an agreement with country X to help them if they need. So you've already got a pre-existing condition treaty set up. Should you go to war to help protect country X? Maybe make a note or at least chat with your friends or friend. Okay, I'm going to give you the next scenario, so make sure you've got that one finished. Country F successfully invade your country. Should you fight back? Okay, here's another one. Country P may have developed a nuclear weapon. They are not friends of your country, that naughty country P. Would you go to war over that? What about this one? Country T has forbidden a religion. It is the religion that most people in your country follow. It says that you must leave with no money, or convert to its new religion, or be executed. So country T has this rule of no religion. People that stay there, which follow the religion that the majority of your country belong to, people that stay either need to leave with no money and escape, convert to its new religion, or be executed. So not very happy links there. What would you do? Would you go to war with country T or not? Okay, and lastly then, the United Nations has evidence that Syria has used chemical weapons against its own people. What should you do? Your country Z? Would you go and assist the UN in their war against Syria, which incidentally never actually took place? But would you do that or not, and why? And what do you think of that? Here's our cheesy intro sequence. Our title today is it ever right to go to war? Is it ever right to go to war? And we're going to explore the principles behind war. As always, do pause me as we go. We are going to be looking at the just war theory as well a little bit later on in this unit. It's going to be a good outcome if you will have had a discussion or at least a thought about what rules you think are important in war. Great outcome if you can explain reasons for and against going to war, and even better if you can reach a reasoned conclusion about if war should be fought with rules or not, and why. So would it be better if there in fact were rules in a war? So we've got to have aiming for a group discussion, but I appreciate that probably won't be happening. But hopefully you'll have some sort of communication with people. Communication, there we are, and social and moral. So during today's session then, we've done Country Z, we're going to do some thinking, we've got some rules, we're going to look at the war in Iraq, there's a worksheet and a little bit of reflection. So we've got quite a lot to cover. So to start with, here are 3 different images. And what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to think about, is there anything good about these things, anything bad about these things, and a question you might want to ask. And think about the content of these pictures. They're all different attempts of seeing what war is. So on the left-hand side, you've got a helicopter, and this is actually from the Vietnam War. Then you've got the idea of a newspaper declaring World War II, and then we've also got a nuclear war as well. So I'd like you in your books to write out a little bit about what each one of these are. So for example, you say, in one picture there's a helicopter and people fighting. What's good about that? Now you might argue that there's nothing good about any of these, but why would that be a positive, a good thing about war? Okay, now, hopefully you'd pause me. We'll be obviously asking you to send everything through to your teachers at the end of the session. So you've got this helicopter one, and some people would say that's a really good way of doing war because it's people on the ground. They're looking for their enemies, and therefore civilians, people not in the army, are not in danger of being injured. The newspaper then is good because it's being declared, the war is being declared by a legal authority. And then lastly, you've got nuclear war, which I know arguably, we've looked at this previously on other parts of faith, philosophy and life, nuclear war isn't obviously very good in many ways, but as a deterrent it is actually quite useful because it might mean that people don't do nuclear war to you. But what's bad about these things? Well, with regards to the helicopter one, it's a bad thing because your soldiers could be killed. They could be shot at and injured in the line of duty. Declaring a war, in terms of the middle one, the newspaper, kind of takes away the element of surprise. If you want an element of surprise, then declaring a war in a national press or any other ways might not be give you the heads up. And nuclear war obviously is a very negative thing because there are millions of people that die and after effects for generations. So I want you now to imagine, having thought about those, that you're part of a team that will create a set of rules for war. You're going to have to come up with 5 rules, okay, that need to be true for any country when a war is happening. So I want you to think about these sort of things here. Captured prisoners, what weapons could be used, hospitals, enemy civilians, size of the battlefield, what areas you should fight in, and what happens to wounded enemy that you capture. So you're going to set up 5 universal rules that everyone must follow, whether it's yourselves or the people that you are fighting. So pause me now, let's see what you come up with, and come back to me when you're done. Okay, just a couple of things then to go over with you. So what do Christians think? Well, all Christians believe that war, conflict and fighting should be avoided at all costs if possible. And I think there's a few that would go even further than that, and they would call themselves pacifists. It says in Luke chapter 6 verse 27, Jesus said, "But I tell you who hear me, love your enemies and do good to those who hate you." I just wondered how that would work with war. If you're doing good to your enemies, then how can that even be justified with pulling out a gun? Just a food for thought as we move on. So we've said that it would be good if we have a discussion about what rules we think are important in war, and we've had a good discussion about that already, or at least you were thinking about it already. Great if you talk about reasons for and against going to war, and that's kind of where we're going to be heading right now. So peace is the ideal, But most religions would accept that war is a necessary evil, as in it shouldn't happen, but sometimes it does. So a set of rules has been put together to judge whether a war situation is in fact just. Augustine, who is a Christian leader in the Middle Ages, came up with the just war theory. And this outlines the conditions which Christians would justify going to war. And then Sir Thomas Aquinas added to that list. And you're going to look at this case study to help with this. Again, in the description below, you'll find a case study worksheet. And you'll find that on that sheet there are multiple copies of the same thing because some have got more support than others. And you're going to look at the Iraq War. And you're going to look at and judge it against the criteria that Aquinas and Augustine came up with. And then you're going to have a look at some of the information, and you're going to make a judgment on whether you think, in fact, it was a just war or not. This is going to take you 10 minutes. It shouldn't take you that much longer than that. You don't need to put a huge amount of information in the boxes, but when you're done, come back to me. So pause me now. Okay, thank you. So I wonder if you decided that the Iraq War was in fact a just war or not. You'll have also seen another worksheet in there, cleverly labelled worksheet. And what I'd like you to do is to access that now and to go through those. Now you'll see a little word search in there. You can draw that out if you want, or you can obviously print it and write on it. And there's some key terms on that and some key teachings that I want you to work through as well. So have a look at those and see what you can get done. And then give yourself maybe 5 minutes before the end of the lesson and then come back to me just so we can get wrapped up and I can do our final activity with you. So we said today we'd explore the principles behind war, and we said a good outcome would be if you could have a discussion about what rules you think apply to war. Great if you can explain reasons for and against going to war, and even better if you can reach reasons and conclusions about if a war should be fought with rules or not and why. And that nicely brings us to our final activity, which is just a little bit of a recap task, to be honest with you. I'd like you to look at these questions. I'd like you to choose 3 of them. And in your book, I'd like you to answer those 3. It's as simple as that. So look at those, choose 3 of them, and then answer those 3. All the information you will have had in today's lesson, whether that's on the worksheet or you've gone through it with you. We're going to do some more next time, as I say, on the same topic, so we can develop our thoughts a bit more. But I'm going to leave that there. So thanks for your time. Take care of yourself. Stay safe. Wash hands. God bless you. And please send everything through to your teacher.